Hey guys, Llama here, and welcome to the first episode of Behind the Blocks. This is going to be kind of an exploratory series where I go through and I talk about what I do to make the builds that I do. So today we're going to be doing a snake in the grass. This is a recent build that I did, a big cobra hiding away in some grass and ready to strike. So this is my first organic build that I've done in a very, very long time and the one I am most proud of. So I hope you enjoy going through this and hope you can pick up some tips and such. This is not a guide on how to build a snake. This is just what I did and the process I took. So the very first thing that I've done in this is I've actually selected a diamond block, which is a very unique block that's not commonly used in builds. So I use this to kind of stencil out a frame for the snake. So I have it going at a very nice curve and then shifting off to the sides and kind of going down off the island a little bit, which the island was created beforehand, and I might go over that in another video, but most likely not. So I just use these diamond blocks to make it to where I can follow along with it and create the actual snake itself. And this can be used for many different builds. Very often it's used for organics to keep the body shape and to understand where all the blocks are going to be placed and to go along that and place all of your blocks and then smooth them out and such. Once I have the frame set out with these diamond blocks, I go next into Voxel Sniper and use the brush tool to make a spherical brush using gold blocks. This is another unique block that's commonly not used in builds. I used a lot in the last build I did. However, most people aren't, so it's a very good building tool for organics. So I just take it and I just go along the entire stencil that I make, covering every piece of diamond that I see, not to overlap them because you'll make some really weird pimple-like shapes and you don't want that. That'll take away from the smoothness of the build and it just doesn't look good. So you just go along and then next you'll be smoothing it out. So once you have it all covered in the stencil, you smooth it out and thus you have created a very basic shape. You'll need to go in like I've done and take out some blocks and add some blocks, and like for the tail I had to go in and make that by hand along with the head. The head was very simple-ish to do. Once I got to the mouth, that was more complicated, and as you can see I went through a lot of iterations of the mouth trying to figure out exactly how I wanted it until I got it about right. It's not perfect, but it looks like a snake. While building the head, I also looked at some references, as you can see in the little time lapse, so that I could get a really good estimate of how a snake's head looks, along with just some other minor tweaks and such. So as you can see though, there's a lot of different things that sometimes you just have to change and finagle. So I went through a lot of iterations trying to get the flares working properly on the snake. However, I just could not get it to look right. I found out that I had actually made the snake's neck too short. So I went ahead and added a bit more of a curve at the bottom, which did take me up to world height, but that was perfectly fine. I'd gotten just there, so it didn't cause an issue with the build. But this small change helped a lot give the presence of the snake a lot better, as it was more up and ready to strike pose rather than kind of down low and closer, which didn't work out with the flares. The flare of the cobra was probably the hardest part of the entire build for me. So for this, I had to do a more three-dimensional mapping of the flare itself. So I had to use the Z-axis to kind of map out the shape that I wanted it and use the X and the Y-axis to create the curve of the flare. So this made it really difficult for me because this is a very, very odd shape to build, as you can see. But we finally managed to get there, and I went ahead and started filling it in with iron. All I did was just kind of follow the shape. I didn't do anything fancy, and then I just smoothed it out and made it even. And then, as you can see, I went and used World Edit since this is a symmetrical build. I went ahead and just used World Edit. I just copy and pasted one side to the other side, just as kind of a cheap solution. This does not work as well on an asymmetrical or an off-axis build, but it's possible to do it, but not easily. Color can really make or break an organic when you're building it. So you really, really want to go through and look at all of your options, every single one of them, and think what is going to match what I want to do the best that it can. So as you can see here, I was going through a bunch of different blocks trying to figure out what base block I wanted. I finally settled on a spruce wood plank that gave me more of a texture that I wanted, as I couldn't make scales because the snake is just too small. So I used this as my base color, and I went through and I used birch, oak, and dark oak to make spots on it and make like a texture of a snake that you would normally see with the different random patterns and such, along with a main pattern with the birch that spread through the back of the flares all the way down to the tail, thus giving it more of a lifelike color and design to it, along with using bone blocks as the main structure of the belly and such, going from the main part of the snake all the way down to the tail. And you want to make sure that you're getting all the little tiny details. So when you're going like over an edge and you see a little bit of the bottom, cover that up. Just makes that little bit of extra work worth it in the end, because it's a tiny detail, but people notice this. So I go through and I color it, and this is about the end of it from this point, because the color's done, the shape's done, the whole design's done, and there's nothing really left to do. Unlike if you did another type of build and you need more, there's a lot of different things that you can do past this, such as when I did the grass was a second thought. The grass did not occur to me until after this, so I'm going to be showing more of a showcase clip that I made for the other video, which you can see linked down below. But it adds to the scene. Making it a scene just makes everything about an organic even better. It really brings the life out of it. So that I really recommend making a scene if you're making an organic, unless it's just way too big to have one. Guys, if you did enjoy this video, let me know by either leaving a like or a comment just being like, hey, I enjoyed it, I want to see another one, so that I can kind of gauge the need for this, because it does take quite a long time to edit this one versus a lot of other ones, along with a lot of things are going to be changing in the next one, because I'll actually have recorded the footage itself in the replay mod, so it's going to be a lot cleaner, it's going to be a lot smoother. But guys, I really hope you enjoy this video, and just go ahead and subscribe if you do want to see content in the future. I'll be having a lot more showcases, time lapses, and such out soon. But anyways, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.